My name is Coach Molly and welcome to my channel. If you're new here, thank you so much for checking out this video. I hope you get some value out of it. I also hope you subscribe, hit that bell icon, and take a chance at pushing yourself forward. Here at Three Pines Leadership, we strive for balance in all aspects of our lives. We know that each of us has a gift, a light to shine on the world. Maybe you haven't uncovered your gift, or maybe you're standing in the way of shining your light on the world, but regardless, if you want to change the world for the better, this is the place for you. So recently I started a new Q&A segment where we're going to talk about what's on my bookshelf. So this month I have 5 books for you. Some of them are new, but actually most of them are favorites from my bookshelf. So let's start with my new book, the one that I got when did I get it? In October. Fantastic book, one of my favorites I've ever read now. And I'd like to introduce you to Will My Cat Eat My Eyeballs? From Caitlin Doughty, who is one of YouTube's most amazing producers and content makers. She is a mortician and an advocate for death. Yeah. So as you know, or as you might not know, I kind of have a big dark cloud that follows around with me. I have a lot of people in my life who pass away. I have at least one close friend pass away every year since I was 13 years old. And I'm hoping that 2020 is a year that might give me some reprieve. I'm hoping there's a lot of babies coming up, so I'm hoping that will counter the forces in the world. But having read this wonderful book and have followed her on YouTube, I have begun to have a completely different understanding and relationship to death. I don't see myself as being afraid of death myself, but I also find that I now have more of an ability to help others through the scariness of death. I highly, highly recommend you get your hands on this amazing, amazing book. I don't know if it's written for children actually, but it is questions from kids and we all know if we've ever asked children for their questions, they do not have the same kind of filter that adults have. So they're willing to ask questions that we're all actually asking, but are too afraid to ask out loud. So there's fantastic questions here, like what happens if you die in space? And of course the title question, will my cat eat my eyeballs? Spoiler alert, yeah, I'm a dog person for a reason. So that's my first book of the month that I highly recommend you read. Next up, if you're looking for something a little bit more artistic, a little bit more relaxing, but still a little absurd, this book was a gift from one of my best friends, one of my closest friends, Lucy, and it is The Scribblings of a Madcap Shambleton by Noel Fielding. If you don't know who Noel Fielding is, he is a hilarious British comedian who is not only a stage performer comedian, but he also embodies his art in many aspects of his life. He does some cool music, he does amazing paintings, and over his career he's been able to tie those and braid those all together to create some really amazing, hilarious, wonderful contributions to the world. So this is a fantastic book that has paintings and ramblings and a leaf that apparently I had pressed a few years ago. So check out this book if you're looking for something a little bit more on the wacky side. All right, number 3. So I have an educational background in philosophy. I am a formally trained philosopher per se, but I much prefer to braid together the worlds of pop culture and philosophy, or pop culture and religion and theology whenever possible. So there's a series of books that each have different authors, all within the same genre of blending these two together. My favorite book from the series incorporates my favorite movie with my favorite topic of discussion. It's The Matrix on Philosophy. This book, or any of the books in this series, are great ways for you to get in, just dip your toe into the world of philosophy if you aren't currently swimming in that wonderful world. but it's also a great way for those of you who maybe you have high school kids who are taking philosophy class in school and you want to help increase their awareness of the topic. They have South Park and philosophy. There's Monty Python and philosophy, Lost in philosophy, Seinfeld in philosophy, Friends in philosophy. There's so many out there. I'd recommend you go out, you find one, and you'll be the coolest person at the next dinner party, because this is gold when it comes to conversation starters. All right? The next book I'm going to show you is one that I was gifted almost 10 years ago by a boss of mine. I was working in a tattoo and piercing shop, actually, and the owner, who is a successful businessman, but also had this really neat secret power. He just had this way of, within 5 minutes of talking to you, of filling you with this sense of empowerment. So one day I pulled him aside when the shop was kind of slow, and I asked him straight up about this power. See, I knew that he was a Freemason, a member of that secret society. So in my strange brain back then, I thought maybe this would be a great way to get onto that topic, because I was convinced that that was some kind of like secret power he got from being a Freemason. No, it had absolutely nothing to do with that. He handed me this book and it changed my life. So this book is an introduction to NLP. NLP is the short form of neuro-linguistic programming. It sounds crazy. It also sounds like you can brainwash people with it, but I guess you could. If you've ever heard of Tony Robbins, for example, Tony Robbins uses NLP in his motivational talks. It's a way of using words to rewire our pathways in our brain. So when I talk a lot about positive thinking, a lot of that comes out of this. When I talk a lot about how we need to define our narrative and we need to take charge of the narrative of our own life, a lot of that and a lot of the words and phrasing that we use comes straight out of this book or trainings associated with NLP. So if you want to find a way to influence people above and beyond what you've already tried and learned, I highly recommend getting some knowledge on NLP. And the final book I'm going to show you this month in the What's on Your Bookshelf Q&A section is Raptor. This is a book I go back to probably every other week. It is Raptor and Other Team Building Activities from Sam Sykes. He's got a couple other books out there. If you're looking to bring your team together with meaningful activities that are fun, seriously, there's one that involves lots of sharp knives, 26 sharp knives and a whole bunch of marshmallows. It's great. Who doesn't want to play with knives? Well, in reality, what this book is a series of initiatives and team building activities that will really bring your teams together. I highly, highly recommend it. There's really short ones, like the giant sneeze, where you divide your group into 3 subgroups, giving them each an instruction for a certain segment of a sound. And it's all about the storytelling of how you present each of these 3 sounds, and then you act as a conductor, making them all go in order, and eventually they realize that the 3 sounds in order make up a giant sneeze. So if you're looking to switch it up, you can also grab this book. It's great for using with your families, like big family reunions, or if you're stuck having if you're given the amazing privilege of chaperoning a birthday party of lovely children. Here's a great book. All right, that's it for this episode, this Q&A, What's on Your Bookshelf. I'm always down to hear what you're reading, so leave those in the comment section below. I'm really curious. And for our traditional Q&A segments, you can always submit your questions. That link is also in the description box below. All right, that's it for this episode. Until next time, my friends, remember, I love you, and be excellent to each other.